Hey everyone, welcome back to the series of building your own e-commerce application in Node.js. In this video, we are going to discuss about how you can implement the complete CRUD regarding creation of orders in your e-commerce application. In order to implement that, we are going to build multiple controllers and models that are going to inculcate a lot of logic regarding the whole CRUD of orders. We are going to go through the tables that are going to correlate with the orders, and we are going to implement a lot of functions in this video. So without any further delay, let's just start. So before we actually start implementing our order CRUD, let's first of all see that how actually the order tables looks like, right? So here you can see, if you will come to the whole schema, there are two tables that are mainly involved with orders. One is order details, one is order items. Let's see what is order details. In order details, you have a column ID, you have a column total, you have a column user ID, order status created at and updated at. So which is the who is the user and what is the status of the order, that is going to be stored inside order details. Now, what are the items inside the order details? Like what products are there in the orders? This is going to be inside order items. That is to which order ID the order item belongs to. What is the product ID? What is the quantity of the product? And so on and so forth. Right. And this total is going to be the grand total. Right. Okay. Now, one order details can have many order items. One order item belongs to an order detail. This is something that is a very important relationship that we need to understand, right? So if we will try to query on order details, right? So here you can see this will be the order detail. There will be different type of order status created at, updated at. A user will be having a corresponding order and so on and so forth, right? So let's just try to implement the CRUD corresponding to this order details and see what are the things that we have to go for. Okay. So first of all, what we are going to do, we are going to build few models. So we'll make a new file, order item.js. Then we are going to make a new model, order detail.js. This can be a small o. Let's rename this. Let's try to follow same convention for all the files. Okay, cool. Now let's just try to build order item.js, the whole CRUD for order item.js. So we'll say first of all, we want the SQL connection. We have the SQL connection with us now, using which we'll be able to connect to the database. Then the first function that I'm going to write is add order item. This is going to be fairly simple. It will get a data and a callback. This is going to actually add a new entry to the order item table. So we'll say let SQL is equals to, we'll write a multi-line SQL and we'll say insert into order items. What we want to insert? We want to add order ID, the order to which this order item belongs. Like order item is like when you see your cart, right? So let's say you have added four pencils, right? So pencil is going to be the product. The count of the pencil is going to be the number of pencils that you're going to add, and this particular product with the corresponding count is going to be added in the whole order, right? So this will be the order ID. Then we want product ID, the product that you are adding. We want the quantity. We want created at, and we want updated at, right? And then we are going to add values. Order ID is going to be given by user, product ID is going to be given by user, quantity is going to be given by user. For now and updated at, we can again use our timestamp functions from SQL. And that's it. This is the SQL that we have prepared. And now we'll say let values is equals to the empty array. We'll say values dot push data dot order ID. We'll say values dot push data dot product ID, and then we'll say values dot push data dot quantity, and then we'll say SQL connection dot execute query. We'll pass the SQL, we'll pass the data, and we'll say error comma result will be expected, and then the same error comma result we are going to pass to the controller function, and that's it. This is a basic addition to the order item. Now we can have some more like edit order item, because whenever we'll be having some update in the quantity, we might edit the order item. So function edit order item data comma callback. Right, again we'll prepare a SQL, and inside the SQL we'll say update order items set quantity is equals to, we'll be getting some new quantity, right? Let's say from pencils were initially 4, now you are adding them as 5, so quantity can change, right? Comma updated at, because the row is going to be updated, so we need to update updated at is equals to now where order id is equals to this and product id is equals to question mark, right? Why order id and product id? Because in one order detail we can have multiple order items, so which order item we have to pick will be decided by the order id as well as the product id, because order item is going to be uniquely identified by the order id, order details id, and the product id. So now we'll select values is equals to this array. We'll say values dot push, I would say data dot quantity, values dot push data dot order id, values dot push data dot product id. Make sense? And now we are going to say SQL connection dot execute query. We'll pass the values. This should be also passed as values. This should not be data, this should be values. And function error comma callback. We'll say sorry result, error comma result. I guess this is a pretty standard stuff now. Error comma result. Okay. So the edit order item is also ready for us. Now what we have to do? We have done read, or sorry, we have done create, we have done update. Now let's do delete. Function delete order items. Okay. Now again we are going to prepare a SQL. We'll say delete from order items. We'll say order ID is equals to this and product ID is equals to this. This will be the SQL. Let values is equals to an empty array again. Values dot push data dot order ID. Values dot push data dot product ID. And the same thing again. Let me copy paste from above, and the same thing will work. So again, a simple thing, right? A basic delete SQL query. Last, read get order items data comma callback. We'll again write a SQL. It's going to be pretty standard stuff, guys. No brainer almost. Select star from order items where order ID is equals to this and product ID is equals to this. And then we'll say let values values dot push. The first item should be data dot order id, and then it should be data dot product id, and then this same SQL connection stuff should be there. At last, one thing left is module dot exports. We'll export all the functions. So first one is add order item, then we have delete order item, then we have update, what's the name, edit order item, and then we have get order item. So these will be the functions that are going to be exported from this file, and I believe this is a pretty standard stuff, right? So now we have completed our order item model, right? This order item is going to have actually the quantity of the, I would say, the overall product that you have added in your cart. Whatever cart you are preparing, that is the order detail. We are going to use that complete cart in the checkout only. Now what we have to do, we have to complete our order detail.js model, right? Now this is going to be, I would say, using order items as well. So we are and like combination of order item and order details is going to be used in the controller. So first of all, let's just use the basic CRUD in order to implement order detail as well. So const SQL connection. So SQL connection is here with us. We'll write a function list order details. You can write get order detail, list order details, anything. Data comma callback. We'll again prepare a SQL. Okay. Select star from. Okay. Now we have to get order details. Now just think about it. Order details is going to be belonging to a user. So whosoever is the user, for that user we have to fetch the order details, right? Now in order to do that, one user can have multiple orders also. That is something also uh, very common, right? One user can have multiple orders. So first of all, we have to fetch like all the orders. For example, let's say we are trying to fetch all the orders for a user, right? That is something that we want to fetch, right? So what we can do is we can take a join. We can take a join for the user. So we will say select star from, or first of all, let's just write a basic query. Select star from. We have order details, right? We have order details, and then we can say, let's see, we have a user ID in order details. Yes, we have a direct user ID where user ID is equals to question mark, right? We'll be having a user ID that is going to be given to us, right? Based on this, we can fetch all the order details, right? This is something going to be really very important. Okay. Now, what this SQL is going to do, this SQL is just going to give us the order details, and in the order details, we'll be just having the user ID. Now, that's not whatever, like that's not everything that we want. When we want to fetch all the order details, right? Then we want to have the order items as well included in that. Why? Because what products and which quantity do we have, that is something also which is very very important. And we need to have also the product details, like let's say a pencil is going to be added 4 times, 4 quantity of pencil, something like that. So instead of directly just doing this, what we can do is we'll say order details inner join. We'll do a join. We'll do a join with, first of all, let's just give order details an alias. Let's say O, right? And we'll do an inner join with order items OI, right? And we'll do this join on O dot ID equals to OI dot order ID, right? That is the order details dot ID is going to be present as the order ID in order items, right? And then we are going to whatever table we got here, we'll do again a join, because now we want to, now order details have got product ID. It has not got the exact product name. So we'll again do an inner join. inner join products p on oi dot product id is equals to p dot id. This is going to be something that is going to be given to us, and let's say uh, for the corresponding user we are going to have it. So the user id won't be directly like this. uh, what we can do is we can say o dot user id, right? This is something that we can do. Cool. And now what we can do is what we also can update this whole thing as, now we have fetched order details for all the users. Now let's just say uh, we want to fetch order details for any one user. So let me think, do we need to have a user? No, I guess this should be fine. We don't need to give the username, so I guess this should be fine. So now we'll say let values is equals to, we just have only one value, so data dot user id, and then this basic SQL connection stuff. We'll say module dot exports. First is list order details. Okay. Now we'll add a function. Find order by user. Like for a particular user, we are going to find any particular order. Find order by user, and then we'll say let's equal, and we'll say select ID total from order details where user ID is equals to user ID is equals to the user input, and order status is equals to 1. That means the order that have been completely checked out, with that orders have order status 1 in our application. Now we'll say let values is equals to the array, and this can be directly data dot user id, and again the SQL connection. Okay, so we'll also add find order by user in the module dot exports. Okay, now let's say we'll say add order. Now we can also add an order. So function add order data comma callback, right? We'll say let SQL, again a SQL will be there, insert into order details. What values do we want to insert? We want to insert total user id, order status, created at, updated at, values. What values do we want? Total will be given by user, user id will be given by user, order status, let's say by default we set it as 1, and timestamping functions for now. And then what we can do is let values, we'll say values dot push data dot total, values dot push, here also we can say as total, let's keep it small, right? And data dot user id, and then the basic SQL connection stuff is there. We'll just add it. Okay, so add order is done. You can see it's like almost now redundant. Almost all the things that we are doing is almost redundant. Then edit order, right? Again a SQL. Okay, update order details set total is equals to this, comma, order status is equals to this, updated at is equals to now, where id is equals to this. Okay, and then we'll select values dot push data dot total, right? Okay, and now let's just think whenever we are going to make whenever we are going to make some changes, that is going to be dependent on what action actually we are doing, right? So let's say if the user is making a payment, so we'll be having a payment parameter with us. So this will be helpful in checkout. If the user is making a payment, we'll just pass the payment parameter and we'll update the status based on that. So we'll say that if data dot payment, then we'll update the SQL to this date order details set order status is equals to this, and updated at is equals to now, where id is equals to this, and we'll say values dot push to, right? That means we are going to use order status as to when we'll complete the payment, the order status will become 2. Apart from that, else we'll just push the total, because if that's not the case, then we are going to use the old SQL only that needs the total, and that needs the order status as 2, sorry, 1. At last, we are going to add values. In both of the cases, we need the user ID for sure. And then we'll just copy the SQL connection part and things are done. Okay. So now we'll add edit order also. Edit order is also present here. Now we'll say, let's write one more function, get order details, right? Now here we are going to write a very interesting SQL. Let's just focus on that first. Okay. So what we are going to say is select od.id as order ID, od.total as total, p.id as product ID, p.name as product name, p.price as price, oi.quantity as quantity. Like, this is going to have a very detailed, I would say, data about the overall order quantity from order details as OD. Then we'll do a left join on order items as OI on od.id is equals to oi dot order ID. And then we'll do again a left join with products as P on p.id is equals to oi dot product ID, right? Let's see what's the parameter looks like. Order items, it's product ID, where od dot user ID is equals to this, and od dot order status is equals to 1, right? And then what we are going to do is let values, and things will be done, right? In this order details function, we have done a left join. Left join means that we are going to get all the orders, right? Irrespective of the fact that whether we are going to have any like, you know that when we do a left join from a table, so all the records from the table is fetched. So all the orders we are going to fetch. This is not like for a particular user, we are going to fetch all the orders, and then for the corresponding order items we are going to pick, right? So we can add this one also, get order details. So we have completed our model function for order items as well as order details as well. This was a long code, I know, but if you will go through this, you will get the use case that why we are having all of this CRUD, because eventually we have to call this CRUD again and again from the controller in order to make sure that we are able to establish the order. Okay. Now what we can do is, in the controllers, we just need new one controller, that is order controllers. We just need one controller. We'll say get order details. We'll get the order details model. We'll get order item. We got order item. We'll take product. We have taken product. And now we are going to write a function, create order. This will help us to create an order, right? We'll say request, comma response, the standard stuff. We'll do module.exports, create order. And now inside create order, we'll say let data is equals to request.body. First of all, we'll get the data from the request.body. Now we have to check whether the data is having a user ID and data is having a product ID or not. Based on that only we are going to take some decision. If this is not the case, if they don't have it, then we can just send a bad request. So else 400 bad request. I will say invalid data passed. Okay, but if the user is going to have user ID and product ID, then we have to do something. What we are going to do, we are going to fetch product details. So product dot get product details. Now this function we have not implemented. Get product details we have not implemented. This is going to give fetch us all the details about a product based on what user is there, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to implement quickly this product details function that is going to help us to implement our model. So what we are going to do, let's go to product.js, and here we'll add a function. Here we are going to add a function, get product details. We'll prepare a SQL again. Okay, so select p dot name as name, p dot price as price, p dot description as description, right? Now there will be a, I would say, kind of a complex query now. So we'll say that we'll first of all check the count of the order items. So this is also going to be done. So let's say comma, if this is going to be a nested query, select count star from order details as OD, left join order items as OI on OI dot order ID is equals to OD dot ID, where oi dot product id is equals to p dot id, and oi dot od dot user id is equals to question mark, and od dot order status is equals to 1, right? If this whole record is greater than 0, then we'll put a 1, otherwise we'll put a 0 as added to cart. Added to cart from products as p, where p dot id is equals to this and limit 1. Okay, now let's see what we are doing. So this internal query select count star, this is going to fetch all the records from the order details and order items join table, wherever the product id is the current product id that you are passing, user id is the current user that you have passed, and the order status is equals to 1, right? If we have more than one record, then we are going to fetch one as added to cart. It is a property that this product has been added to cart, otherwise 0. So this is going to be the get product details function, I would say. So let's copy some standard stuff. I'll pick some stuff from above. Okay, then we'll add the data. So we'll say data dot user id values dot push data dot product id. Okay, I believe this should be good to go. And now what we are going to do, we'll say product dot, or one thing, let's say product dot get product details, right? We have exported it. No, let's export it, get product details. Now I believe the autocomplete should work. Product dot get product details makes sense. Now inside the get product details, we are going to pass the data that we have fetched from the request body. So we'll pass the data and we'll say function error comma product. This is going to help us to fetch the product, right? We'll say if error console.log error, and we'll say return res dot status 500 dot send success false message error in creating the order, for example. And then if there is no error, now based on the product that we have fetched, what we are going to do, we are going to fetch order details. So we'll say order detail dot find order by user data error 1 comma order, right? Again the same thing, if there is an error, we'll do this. Otherwise, if we are able to fetch completely, let's say if error 1, if we are able to fetch the order detail completely, what we are going to do, we'll check if order dot length, if the array that we have fetched is greater than 0 in length, that means we have fetched the order, right? What we are going to do, we'll say data dot total, we'll pass a total parameter is equals to parse int order of 0 dot total, we'll convert it to an integer value, right? Plus parse int product of 0 comma 10, convert it into an integer value. So what we are doing is we are updating the total price, total quantity, right? So this should be price dot price. So we are updating the total price. So in your order, you have some amount of elements already added. Now you added another product, right? You are creating order, so you're adding another product. So you need to add the price of the product to the already present total, right? And we'll say data dot order id is equals to order of 0 dot id. Then we'll say order details dot edit order. We'll pass the data. We'll pass function error 2. 1 second. Right. And here we should say this function error 2. And we have, let's say, let's write this as order detail. Right. Let's add this as order detail. And then what we are going to say is, again, if error 2, if there is an error, then we'll do this. Otherwise, we'll say order item dot add order item. Now we are going to actually add the product into the order item as well. We'll pass the data. Order item will fetch. And then what we are going to do, again, if there is an error, I know this is a long function, but I believe a simpler one, right? And then if we have added everything perfectly fine, then what we are going to say, return res.status 200. That means you are able to add it everything successfully. We'll say success true and message successfully created order, right? And then what you can do is you can even add order details is equals to an object where order id is order of 0.id. So we'll send the order id as well. This will be the case if we are able to find the corresponding order. Now, how about if we were not able to find an order? So inside this if check, we'll be having an else as well. So what about if we were not able to find an order? If we were not able to find an order, then what we are going to do, we'll say data.total is equals to %, product of 0 dot price, because now we are going to create a new order. We'll say order details dot add order data function order detail, right? We'll say error. If there is error, then error creating the order. Otherwise, data dot order id will fetch the order id is equals to order detail dot insert id. What is insert id? Insert id is going to be the last. This is the property that we get on the object, that is the last entry of the row that you have made, right? And then again, what we are going to do, order item dot add order item will pass data function error 3 order item. And again we have the same if check error 3. If there is no error, if there is no error, then we'll say return res dot status 200 dot send message successfully created the order success proof, and we'll say order details is equals to order id as order detail of 0.id, right? Later you can even modify this order details object that you are returning. It's like nothing like that. And instead of this we should have insert id. So it won't be having id, it will be having insert id. Cool. So this long function, I know it's a pretty long function, but this was for creating the order, right? Now what we can do is we can say we can have a very simple function. Let's say we have a simple function get order details request comma response, and we are going to add get order details. So let's say let data is equals to request dot body. Then what we are going to do, if data dot user id Based on the user ID, we are going to fetch the order. So order detail dot get list order details, data comma function error comma result. If there is an error, then we'll say return res dot status 500 dot send success false and message not able to fetch the data, right? And if you go to the list order details, if you go to the list order details function, this is the list order details function. It just expects the user ID, so we are going go good. And apart from that, we'll say return res dot status 200 dot send success is true, messages fetch the order details, and then inside order details parameter will pass the result, and that's it. This is going to help you to get the order details, right? Okay, so there is some error in our file. Let's see. There might be some indentation issues or some curly brace issue. Let's try to debug that. uh, okay, so this is an error somewhere here. Okay, let's see. Order detail dot find order. Okay, so this I believe should be here. So where is this function closing? Let's see. This should be here. Cool. So now the error is gone. Okay, cool. Now what we can do is we can even add a function to edit the order details. Now I'm going to keep that with you guys. Function edit order details request comma response. You have to complete this edit order details function. This is going to be really simple. You have to just use the edit order details model functions and edit order items model function. Whenever you have something, you can edit the order item. There are some more issues, I guess, in the file. We can definitely resolve those and then complete the video. Let's see. Okay, this should be colon. This should also be colon. Okay, cool. So we can just do module.export, edit order details, and using all of these functions, what you can do, you can just pass the corresponding data and create the order. So this is going to be on you. Try to complete this edit order details function. And one more thing is missing. You have to add the corresponding routes. So in route slash API slash v1.index.js, what you have to do, you have to add corresponding routes for the orders, right? Now, what kind of routes there we can have order slash create order kind of a route, edit order kind of a route, right? So we can say I'll add one route. So router dot get, we can say slash order slash details. Then we can have something like slash order slash add. Then we can have something like slash order slash edit. And then based on this, we can say const order controller is equals to require source, then controller, then order controller. And we can say details will be slash order controller dot get order details, order controller dot, I would say create order, order controller dot edit order details, right? This can be the corresponding route for us. And now if you'll say node index.js, see the server is running fine. Now let's try to see if we are able to create an order or not. In order to create an order, let's see what details do we need to have. We need to have a user ID and a product ID. I guess that is it. So let's just do that. So let's see some products. Let's see some products. Okay. So we'll take a product ID 125. So let's open Postman. We'll have slash order slash add, and let's do one thing. This will be a post request. This will also be a post request. Restart the app, and inside the body, we are going to have product ID as 125, and we can take the user. So users, our last user we created, right? So we can take this 341 test user. So user ID 341, right? Let's see if we try to send. Okay, it's not able to get order slash add. Okay, it's a post request, right? It's a post request. Send. Okay, so we have passed invalid data. Okay, let's check. So let's go to create order. It says invalid data passed. So let's see. Let's try to debug why we are getting this. Any logs that we have? No. So where do we have this invalid data? Okay. So we are not going to have any user ID or product ID. Most probably this is the issue. User ID. Okay. This should be a product ID, and a user ID. Okay, I guess the user ID I was small. Now let's send. Okay, now there is some error in creating the order. Okay, so let's see. This should be error 1. Okay, let's have a better logs. This should be error 1, error 2, error 3. Okay, now let's restart the server. Let's see what are the errors. If we send it, okay, so the server has crashed. Let's try to debug. Okay, console.log error 3, line number 56. Okay, this is error 2. Okay, let's restart, send. Okay, now it says that, okay, so in the query we have a typo. So these are some issues that we have to take care about. Insert into order details. This is order status. This is order status. Okay, cool. Let's restart. Okay, and let's go to controller 75. Line number 75 is there. Okay, let's see. So it says it is not able to fetch insert ID, right? So let's see. Okay, I guess it should be not 0, it should be just, because here if you can see it's just order detail, right? It's the exact object. Cool. Again, error in creating the order. We're getting a null value. Okay, so let's make the logs a better verbose. Error in getting product, then error in getting order by user, error in editing order detail, error in creating order item, and here also error in editing order detail, and there should be creating order item. Okay, now it should be good. Let's see, we will be able to get better log editing order detail. Okay, we are not able to edit order detail. Okay, so there is some error in add order, I believe. So let's see what is the data that we are passing here. Console.log data. This is how we have to debug. Okay, I guess we are here then. Console.log data. Okay, so we are having a product ID, a user ID, a total, and an order ID. So if we go to edit order, we needed what? Inside edit order, we required, do we need product ID? No. Do we need a user ID? We have a user ID. Yes, we have a user ID. Do we have a total? Yes, we have a total. And total order status, we're expecting one. Okay, so I guess I got the issue. So if you will carefully see, right, if you will carefully see, what is happening is inside our order details and inside the edit order function, we have made one issue. This should not be user ID. This should be order ID because it's where ID equals to an order details table, right? This is the issue. And if you try to send it, again, some error is there. Let me see. Okay, so values.push data.order ID. We don't have a payment parameter, that is for sure. So we'll be pushing the total. So total gets here. Order status is 1 and order details ID is the order ID, right? So are we passing 152 from here? No, it fetched the order ID, right? Okay. So how about, let's do one thing. I believe there is some corrupted data. So what we can do is, let's say for the products, first of all, let's see what is there in the order details. Order details where ID is equals to 152. Let's see what do we have here. Okay, so we have a total user ID is 341. Okay, we pass user ID 341 and total was this created here. Makes sense. So we have update order ID order details. Now the total should be 1 lakh and let's see, total should be 1 lakh. The order status should be 1. Is it initially 1 only? Yes, it is initially 1 only. And order ID we are pushing 152. Makes sense. Okay, it executed the query. So let's come back to the order controller. It says error editing order detail now. So error in editing order detail. So what is the error? We are getting, okay, so this should be error 2. We'll be able to fetch what is the error now. Okay, so the error says that you have an error in the SQL syntax. Let's see. So update order details. Okay, just a second. Let's see what's the ID. Int, right? Set total is equals to this. Order status is equals to this. Okay, I got it. Most probably we are missing a comma here. Yes, this was the issue. And now if you send it, cool, we are able to successfully create the order. So these are the small things that you have to take care about, that the query, like you might miss very small thing in writing large queries. So you have to always test your function so that everything is working fine. So what you can do is you can test the rest of the functions that we have created in order details, order item, but on and on we are able to at least add a new order. So this is going to help us to create the complete card. And then what you can do from the front end, you can send the dot payment parameter to true, so that it can also actually uh, finish the order and actually create a new order and start and complete the payment for that. So this was the whole logic, that how you can create the crud for order. I know this has been a long video, but I would highly recommend you guys to break this video into smaller chunks, see it again and again, see the logic what I've done. Majorly we have done only crud. The only thing with different we have done is few joins in order to fetch the details of the order based on, like, order is having some order items, so all the order item detail, then order item is having product, then all the product details. In order to do that, we have just done some joins at few places. Otherwise it is pure and pure crud. In the controller, we have just taken cases that, okay, if there is already a product or not, if there is already an order detail, order like already created or not, then whether the item is already added or not, so on and so forth. So this is the whole thing that we have done. Now we are going to go to the next lap of the lecture, that is we are going to add some unit tests in the lecture that is going to be coming in the further videos. So that being said, let's just wrap it up. We will meet very soon in the next video. Till then, take care guys. Bye bye. Have a great week ahead, and thank you.